going on, everybody? Welcome.
Hey, Terry.
Hey.
How are you, Nicolle?
Hi, Michael.
Hi.
Terry.
I'm Michael.
Hi. Nice to meet
Nice
you.
to meet you guys. Never met these guys.
And welcome everyone. We are opening the week dedicated to photography on behance.net/live, the Adobe Live show. So we have it's a little bit different the format this week because we will have 4 shows, but not exactly at the common hours.
Correct.
We will have 3 photographers this morning. We'll start with Nicolle for 2 hours. She will take a picture live and edit the picture in Lightroom CC. Then we will welcome Marla Weatherford and Ashley Batts. And Ashley will be back, but later at 6 p.m. Pacific time for a special session about mobile photography.
Sweet.
Yeah, that's sweet.
Cool.
Yeah.
So how it will work this week, super easy. We have a studio ready, you will see that, and all our guests, they will be able to take a picture.
Yeah, if you turn around, the studio's behind you. So
Yeah.
So just turn around real quick.
Yeah, just turn around
over there.
like this. Just turn around.
Turn around. Yeah,
You
see,
were being
there it
facetious.
is.
It worked.
It worked. See, you turned around, it was there. You turn around, it's back.
So we will go to the studio in about 5 minutes, but before we wanted to share with you some news. So we have a contest going on.
We do.
Yeah. And every day there will be a new theme.
Say 4 and after contest.
Do you know the theme of the day, Terry?
I do not know the theme of the day. What is it?
So we started with something easy. It's portrait photography.
Hey.
Yeah, right.
That is easy.
So you can see anyone around
What's
you. Say, okay,
that?
don't move. Take a picture, and we want you to share the before and after. Okay, so let me explain how it works. You can use the Lightroom CC. So make sure to download Lightroom CC. You import your picture. Make sure to duplicate it. Okay, to keep the before and after, so you can start improving. And make it look the way you want. Using all the settings such as the light, the color. You can crop, and then you can visit lightroom.adobe.com, which is Lightroom in the browser, the web version of Lightroom, and it lets you create galleries that you can share with us. Okay, so you create a public gallery, adding the 2 pictures. Remember, before, after.
And we should be able to tell which one's before and which one's after.
And that would be awesome.
We can't tell, then something else is
Then
wrong.
something is weird. Yeah, and it creates, you see, a unique link. Okay, so we just it's a public link. We just want you to share this link with us, going to bit.ly/submitadobe. Okay, all the rules are in the contest tab of the Behance page. Next to the chat, there is a contest tab. So make sure to participate, and during each show, we will give away a Creative Cloud subscription, the full one. And at the end of the show, Nicolle, we will review some pictures. Yeah, created by our
That's right,
friends.
you told me about that.
And we ask you to pick your favorite one. Yeah.
Awesome. I love it.
Okay, awesome. So who is with us? I see Laura. Good to see you back. Ahmed Munir, Matthias, Jan Eric. Thanks for watching. Maybe you can start by, if you want to introduce yourself and your work, Nicolle.
I can do that, Michael.
Let's do that.
Hi, everybody, or hello again, for those of you that were with us this summer. I'm a portrait and still life photographer based out of Portland, Oregon. And we got my website pulled up here now, kind of go through, show you a little bit of my work. My work's been described as visual candy, which I appreciate, so you can kind of get a taste for that here. A lot of the color and light that I use. Fun recent stuff. I think I need to update my website, guys. It's been a hot minute. I got new stuff to put up here. But
I should tell you about this thing called Adobe Portfolio.
tell me about it,
Yeah,
Terry.
you can update instantly from Lightroom.
What?
I know,
That's
one
insane.
click.
Oh, yeah, you can access the Lightroom catalog now.
Oh, it's even easier. You just
Oh.
update, and once you
Seriously?
put your gallery online, it's always there. Update it, ready to go.
Ooh.
Awesome.
All right. I might need to look into that. You guys should too. So this is some of my portrait stuff, but we're going to be doing product and still life this week with
Yeah.
me. So let's look at some of that instead.
Still life.
Still
Okay.
life. So I just...
So for the absolute beginners out there, what is still life?
I mean, I have a feeling it means possibly different things to different people, but I mean, for me, it's literally photographing things that don't require people.
Oh, okay.
I mean, sometimes maybe it's a hand or a leg or a foot or something in the shot, but ideally...
But you just need the hand. Like you can
Yeah.
take someone, cut the hand.
Yeah,
You don't need the
like
people,
I'll
so anyway.
like legitimately just cut your arm off. Exactly. But yeah, it's I don't know. I always get, sometimes it's just like, oh, am I shooting food or product or is it still life? It's like, but there's so many different sort of categories that we can use to describe our photography.
Yeah, for me, it was like, I always thought of still life as plants and flowers.
Totally. Well, and when you,
Like in painting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So that's why I asked you to
Drawing.
define your definition.
and I certainly have like some colleagues and friends that do like, beautiful painterly looking still life sets that are like fruit and vegetable, like
Right, yeah.
kind of like old, oil paintings or whatever. For me, it's, I shoot portraits and still life, and I love people and I love photographing people, but sometimes, especially in my own personal studio, it's nice to be able to create stuff on my own, and not have to like pull in a prop stylist or, models, hair and makeup, wardrobe, all of that. So for me, still life photography is just something that I can really just create on my own, which is kind of exciting.
Nancy says that she loves the Lego dress. Yeah.
Oh, I thank you.
I see you have a flair for color.
I love color.
Bright colors. That's awesome.
It's
Yes.
it's one of the things, but even before I started shooting when I was assisting and stuff, that I was always just drawn to was just very vibrant color and like
can
specular lighting and things.
We start talking about Instagram. Do you have an Instagram account too?
I do. Yeah, please follow me on Instagram. I'm always posting behind the scenes stuff and new work and all of that. Nicolle Clemetson Studio is my handle. My name's spelt differently, but it should be somewhere on what you're looking at. So.
Yeah, it's somewhere on the UI.
There we go. Perfect. So follow me over there. That would be lovely to see some of y'all over there. And yes, I mean, like shooting sneakers, that's product photography.
Yes.
But if I can bring in like a little still life effect
Sneakers
to
and
it.
sushi.
Sneakers and like
sushi.
oranges, because they're orange snake. No, I'm just kidding. Sushi.
Terry, you know what sushi
I
is.
made you look though. You're like, what are
I know, I'm like,
oranges in
oh
there? It's
no,
there's
that was a
oranges
year or
in
two
there?
ago. Oh, you goofballs. But yeah, it ranges from, editorial stuff like the piece on the right there, to, I mean, like these two shots I did in the studio by myself because I had apparently a bag of spent shells and some lipstick. Who knows? Yeah, I have been trying to get into, it's like I want to delve a little bit more into more dramatic lighting and sort of darker stuff. Not that any of this is, but I'm finding like a difficulty where everybody knows me by my colorful work and all of that stuff. So I'm just kind of like, how do I grow without like losing myself or whatever? So that's, I think for the next year, that's going to be kind of a process of mine, is figuring out how I can make that
transition.
Yeah, that transition and still, stay true to my vision and all. So yeah, this is me doing still life and product photography apparently.
Oh, go back to the hands.
Which ones? There's lots of them.
Those are cool.
Yay, thank you. That we tried to paint that arm in, like, have it in camera, and that was just, it was getting frustrating. I was like, you know what? We have tools for this. It's called Photoshop. So.
Very nicely done.
Yes. So, and then we do, a couple fun little vignettes that I really enjoy. And then those guys. Okay, so that's the end of that. And then I dabble in some food and beverage photography as well.
And Nancy, I agree. The colors are fascinating.
Aw, thanks, guys. I have this really amazing book that I picked up. I don't even know where. Maybe at Powell's or something. It's the Color Harmony book, and it's just like little serrated pieces you can take out, almost like paint swatches, and it literally goes through like every possible color combination, like humanly possible, like on Earth or whatever. So I'm always looking at that for reference. If I like get really excited about one color, it's like, what else can go with it,
Yeah, I used to cheat and use the color harmony built into Illustrator for other
totally,
things.
right?
Yeah,
Sometimes our brains just need a little extra push,
Oh, there's some bacon here.
Hey, easy, buddy. I know it's breakfast time. We're hungry. Oh, this is fun. These two shots, I was actually working on the last time I was here. I was pretty much doing this and then going back to the hotel and like retouching all night. But it's for a local dispensary in Oregon. They teamed up with an amazing chocolatier to make these edible chocolate blocks. And so we got to make some like kind of high-end ads for them for various print use and all of that. But it's delicious. I'm just saying. And more food. I really love photographing food, like in the way that I photograph still life stuff.
Yeah.
Like a lot of food photography is very, like whether it's natural light or a strobe mimicking natural light, it's always very like soft and like super, shallow depth of field and all of that. and I don't know, I guess I'd rather make food look like shiny and weird and maybe not that appetizing like that perhaps. But, you know, people seem to appreciate it, so I will take
Very
it.
cool. Ooh.
Good old Big Mac, because
Yeah, no, I was
literally
looking
the
at
cheese is pointing up
I was
when you
looking
get
at
it.
The squirt
Oh,
of ketchup there.
that was fun. I did a fun series. I just called some friends down to the studio and pretty much just found any sort of phallic-shaped things that I could squeeze, and it turned into like a whole series called Squeezer, and it was like kind of amazing. So it was like toothpaste and cucumbers, or like actually like kind of rotten cucumbers and ketchups and all that sort of stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
So, I'm either like trying to offend people with my work or make them feel uncomfortable sometimes, and it seems to work. So.
Certain level of uncomfortable.
Totally.
There's a question from CC, and don't hesitate to ask questions. What do you think is the next technology that will change photography? Ooh.
What was that?
The
What was
next technology that will change photography.
Oh man, I don't.
Technology? Well, I think smartphones will continue to get better. The biggest limitation now is not so much the sensors anymore, it's the lenses. So once we get to a point to where the big SLR lenses aren't required, that would probably be the next biggest technology change.
I don't like the sounds of that. I came from the analog world, so you know I'm still, even though I've been shooting digital for so long, I still like my heartstrings are still attached to like real, like I don't know, like real photography or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I know I shouldn't say real. I'm such a hater. But like,
You're a photographer.
well, you know,
surreal,
like I spent
okay.
time in the darkroom and stuff, and so it was like, you know, once I got into Photoshop and all of that sort of stuff, it was like, it was really hard for me to accept it as a tool that I could use to make my work better.
But now you don't give it a second thought.
Exactly. You know, so it's
there you
just, and I guess so I'm slowly growing with the technological advances, but I don't know. I mean, even with whatever the changes in the technology might be, maybe we're not even using cameras anymore at some point.
Well, yeah, I mean,
but it's
also,
still like photography.
You look at
know?
technology as, even with some of the ways that they're handling, like changing depth of field after the shot. And changing composition after the shot and things like that. So I think that's where the technology will go, is just that what you capture in camera won't be just like it's not
Won't be the final.
Won't be the final, just like it's not for retouching,
Yeah.
but it won't be the final even for the shot itself.
So Nicolle,
Like, ugh.
what's the plan for today?
So the plan for today, this isn't my computer, is it? No.
No,
Like, so,
but you can maybe describe what you have in mind.
So to give you guys kind of a brief, so 2 of the shots we're working on this week, I'm reusing a bunch of props that I had from this really amazing series that I shot about a month ago, which I can't show anybody yet because it's still a 3-toucher, and it makes me sad because it's so beautiful. But stay tuned, it'll be up on Behance probably in January. And so I have like a lot of aquarium and sort of seafood-esque props and all of this. So we today are going to do sort of an editorial product shoot, if you will. We're going to be shooting a pair of heels, and then you're going to kind of watch me as I sort of style out and prop style the shot. And then we'll dial in the lighting, and then we'll come over here and bring everything into post. And one other note that I wanted to make. So looking at my work, like I use a lot of lighting. And what I wanted to do for you guys this week is to demonstrate how you can create some like really striking, beautiful images with just using one strobe or, you know, one hot light or something. So hopefully, you know, I'll be able to pass on some knowledge to you guys that you can take and experiment with on your own.
Thanks.
So we'll see what happens.
I'm
Yeah, you
looking
can do it too,
forward to
Michael.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Michael,
Yeah.
you're going to photo assist?
Yeah, I will be the
From what I
photo
understand.
assistant.
He's
and
great at
you will be the
I will
Lightroom
be the
assistant.
post-production assistant.
Yeah, and someone was asking, I think it was Jan-Eric, so Terry will be using the new Lightroom CC that we released at Max
Correct.
a few weeks ago. So it's also an introduction to Lightroom CC. We will talk about it, explain what you can do with it.
Yeah,
you
I'll
can
explain where each one fits in the workflow, because
Yeah.
we're going to kind of use a mixture of things today.
Yeah, we use a mixed. Yeah. Okay.
Can I answer Jan's question really quick?
Yeah. So
Just because it's all caps.
he's asking, like, in your workflow, do you use Lightroom, Photoshop?
Yes, I use both. So normally I bring, you know, I shoot tethered into Lightroom, which we'll be doing here today. And that's kind of where I do sort of my basic color correction and sort of like raw adjustments, if you will. And then I'll export that as a TIFF file and then bring that into Photoshop where I'll do any compositing, color replacement, cleanup, sharpening, all of that. I have a process.
Cool. Should we jump to the studio?
Let's do it.
Terry, see you,
All right.
see you in a bit.
guys in a bit.
Yeah, we just take a picture and we come
Have
back.
fun. Yes. Take one. Retouch it. Take another one. No,
Take my,
Over and over
my
again.
Apple
don't do
Watch
it that
with me.
way.
That sounds awful.
We can't really afford real furniture, so he's going to take the box.
Okay.
All right.
There's so many of these nice chairs.
Yeah.
Okay. Back here. Make sure I can see you, friends. Okay, so we can still access the chat.
Okay, so I love how like wide everything is. You guys get to see everything this time.
Yeah, here, see?
It's
Oh,
like,
no,
wait.
no, you're here.
Oh gosh. Okay, one there. We got this, you guys.
Okay, so you want to explain what's the set
Yeah, absolutely.
using this?
So I got down here yesterday when I flew into town to kind of get this part set up. Literally just seamless paper, kind of taped down on the table nice and flat. And then I tried to steam out my curtains. We'll probably have to fix some wrinkles in Photoshop, but that'll be fine.
Okay.
I had originally, let me show you guys. I think. So this is, which camera can I go to? I kind of want to go to this one. Yes. So I did some testing last week. Whoops, there we go. And this is kind of the first stage of the shot that we're making today.
Cool.
I'm gonna change some stuff around and all.
Yeah, but that's your reference shot.
But that's my reference shot. I wanted to bring the curtain in just to add some texture and stuff to the background. And
Let me know how I can help.
absolutely,
Okay.
I know.
And don't hesitate to ask questions about anything. I
Yeah,
have,
please. Yeah, and
Always looking at the chat.
okay, good. And then if you saw in that shot, I had like some like cheap white boxes or whatever. I went and bought these and painted them because I wanted
Aw.
something pink and beautiful to match our situation. So you want to set those on the set there.
Okay.
We're gonna just slowly pull in all of our props and stuff. All right, that's not gonna work. Oh no! Hey, Michael.
Yeah.
Do me a favor, man. And kind of just trying to get those two pieces of tape off of there. Watch out, there's rocks in there.
I will show you my mission.
All right.
There is tape. I will remove the tape.
So guys, I did have this whole scene kind of set up this morning, but I wanted to take it down so we can kind of build it together. So that's what we're gonna do. I have weird aquarium plants, a fake goldfish, shoes that are like kind of crazy looking when you throw light on them, so that'll be fun. And then I brought these cups as just sort of another option for risers for that second shoe or whatever. I kind of liked that they had sort of a, I don't know, the bubble effect, kind of that water aquarium feel to it. So we'll kind of see. We're going to play around a little bit, see what happens. Why did I put this scrim so low? I keep knocking my hand on it.
So if you can describe maybe the equipment that you have so far.
Yeah, absolutely. So like I said, we're just lighting this with one light. We've got our trusty ProPhoto D1 500 up here, which is functioning through this fancy ProPhoto Air remote. So you can see if I hit the test button, I should turn this on. Boop. Got a little flasheroonie going there. Very exciting stuff. All right. And then up here we've got like a 4x4 frame with silk diffusion cloth in it. It's a scrim gym. And that's really just going to kind of diffuse that light a little bit as we shoot through it with a bare bulb strobe.
So Young and Yoon is asking, so you're just using one light? So yeah, so this is what you were describing, like the...
Yeah.
What Nicolle wants to share today is that just with a simple strobe light, you can really easily, create a dramatic effect. I guess.
Absolutely.
So this is,
And we'll throw some like fill cards in there and stuff too, but yeah, we're keeping it simple, man.
Okay, remove the tape.
You got it?
Yeah.
Yay! Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, let me adjust the shape here.
All right. And then I wonder.
This. Yeah.
Oh, no, it doesn't. Okay. Okay, guys. So now you get to watch me play around a little bit here. So let's see. What do we got? Oh. So we're just gonna kind of start just by setting some stuff up here pretty simply. And then once we start snapping off some shots, we'll be able to see how everything's looking. Oh, so the fun part is, oh yeah, we're filling the shoes with blue rocks.
I can do that.
Yeah? Ooh, perfect. A little cup in there. Yeah, I'm just gonna fill them right up to that situation. Sorry, I'm trying really hard not to put like my face directly into this camera behind me. Just let me know if I'm doing a poor job of that.
Okay, so which camera will you be using today, Nicole?
Thank you for asking me questions. I'm like, otherwise I'm just gonna sit here and like be way too focused on photography. We're shooting on the Canon 5D Mark III. My trusty little friend here with the 24 to 70 L lens. I think we are all the way, yeah, we're all the way, oops, zoomed out at 70. I'll snap that so you guys can kind of see what we're working with. Oh my god, that light is so bright. Let's see here. I'm gonna change my settings. So we're going ISO at 100. I'm gonna go up to an F11 and see what that does for me. Probably not. Oh, so dark.
Better? Yeah. Darker.
Alright, so that's hecka dark. And we're at 7. Alright, so now. Uh-oh, you guys, I'm doing that thing where I just set stuff down places. Alright. Which camera? We're gonna.
We can show this one. Yeah.
Okay, cool. This is my old, like probably made in the 90s light meter, that we are going to test our light with and see what it's reading at. So, Michael, if you could do me a favor.
Yeah.
And actually just hit the test, that little white button on the area remote there. Should fire off the strobe. Oh, perfect. Alright, so as you can see, that's reading at about an F16. ISO 100, shutter speed 125th second. So let's see. So I'm gonna change my camera settings over to what that's telling me.
So it's telling you what's F16.
Yep. ISO 100, 125 shutter speed.
Okay, let's see.
Yeah, so that is not at all what I want my business to look like, because I like bright stuff. So I'm actually going to go down to an F11, open that aperture up just a little bit, see if we're getting somewhere with it. Oh yeah, could we dim or kill some of the overheads? I feel like they're starting to impede a little bit here. Oh, fabulous. Oh yeah, and it still looks great on the monitor too. Alrighty, so okay, yeah, you guys can see the images popping up there, it looks like.
Yeah, and we can switch to the full screen images too at some point. Just show. Okay.
Alright, so I'm just adjusting the lights. It looks like they weren't quite centered with my situation.
So what is bothering you, like when you look at this image?
Oh, what's bothering me? Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, so many things. Mainly the darkness on the curtain behind it, especially that like kind
the
of right in the
big,
middle. That
dark spot?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm gonna try to like get that light a little more directional and like straight on to hopefully kill that.
Okay.
And then we will, you know, like it's pretty dark on the right side too of that heel. So we will be bringing in a fill card over there, which because it's a reflective surface will also, like with the white fill card, will also brighten it up a lot too, aside from just bouncing light. So, alright, I think, does that feel, that does not feel centered.
You want it like this?
Yeah, oh yeah, you're taller than I am. Yeah, if you turn that bad boy. Perfect. Oh, yes. So I don't know if you guys can see like on set, but like with that modeling light on the strobe, you can kind of see the light move when we're playing around with it, which is really helpful, especially when you're trying to get everything dialed in all super fancy. So now I'm just going to kind of play around a little bit with composition here. Not entirely sure how I want some of this to look, but I have an idea. So start there. I don't know, I kind of like this fish just kind of being a little creep. Sneaking into the shot, if you will. And let's see. Actually, those. Hey, Michael, could we get some more rocks, please?
Sure.
Yay. Always room for more rocks.
And do you shoot also some videos or no?
You know, I don't like market myself as that necessarily. I've definitely dabbled in the stop motion
Stop motion.
sort of stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I think like stop motion, that is something that I'd be happy to get into, but I've always just considered myself a photographer and never a videographer, so it's like, you know, I mean, who knows though, like maybe that's going to be a thing for me in my future. I'm better at seeing a still image than I am a moving one, you know? Tiny rocks everywhere. Oh my gosh, my studio floor is literally covered in just an array of like tiny neon pink and neon blue rocks. I will never forget. Beautiful.
Okay. Oh, you want to stack the plant in the trees?
Oh yeah.
Oh, cool.
Like, oh yeah.
Oh.
See, and this is where it gets fun. So, anyways. And literally this,
Yeah,
like,
thank you, Michael, for the hard work. Yeah, you see? I can lift rocks.
He's amazing. I don't know what we would do without him. There we go. Face that to camera a little bit. So yeah, I mean, I guess I'm giving you guys like a front row seat as to how my imagination works, I suppose. I have a tendency to just come up with some really weird stuff when I'm in my studio.
And you all see the hard work to take a picture. So we also invite you today to take and share a picture. Okay, the theme of the day for you is portrait photography.
Yay!
And we want you to share the before and after. All the rules are in the contest tab. So make sure to check the contest tab on behance.net/live.
You are doing great at remembering that, Michael.
And yeah.
Okay, let's see what we got here, and then we can work on tightening the light and the setup and everything.
Okay, let's see how it goes now. So.
Starting to like it.
Ooh.
Alright.
Okay.
It's turning into something here. Oh, you know what, you guys? I drew out my lighting setup and everything for this that I wanted to shoot.
We have a question from Natasha. Nicole, how do you come up with concepts for your props? So is it something like when you have... Oh, here we go.
Oh, well, I was going to say, just to answer the question, this was... So... I'm not like a drawer. But is this the right camera? This is like this one over here, that was kind of just, I think, my original sketch when I got the phone call from Michael about coming back. I knew I wanted to do something a little bit editorial, something, you know, more product based, but I wanted to get sort of my weirdness into it. And as I'd mentioned before, I had a ton of these sort of aquarium props left over from a previous shoot, so I figured, like, I was still kind of like pretty amped up about that shoot because it was so cool. I was like, oh, let's just make more beautiful neon day glow aquarium style stuff. So yeah, I mean, I look for inspiration, you know, in a lot of places, but most of it's just looking at other artists' work, whether it's photography or illustrators or painters, and you know, just seeing whatever gets me excited, and then I'll save those images and look at them for reference later and all. So I guess I was referencing some of my own images for this particular shoot, so that's pretty cool. All right, so guys, let us let's start, I don't know, playing around a little bit here. Oh my gosh. I had this amazing woman named Fontaine assist me on my test shoots last week for this. And she drew like the most beautiful little like lighting setups. Yeah, check that out.
So this is what we're trying to reproduce today?
Totally. So I am already looking at this, I'm like, oh yeah, the light was way off to the left, not directly above camera. So we're gonna probably move that around.
Okay.
But I mean, otherwise everything else seems pretty legit. Do we have a tape measure by any chance? Is that? Nah, we don't need one.
We don't need that.
We don't need those things. Okay, team, so we're gonna go to my reference because I did this for a reason. So what it's telling me is our light actually wants to be about over here. Ooh, yeah, which I can appreciate.
Okay.
So Michael, what we're gonna do, I'm gonna adjust the light and then I'm gonna have you pull this out once I get it. Oh, yeah, look at that, that lowers too. Okay, and then I'm gonna pull this guy back as far as I can. Perfect.
Okay.
All right, and then what's gonna happen here is we're gonna try to like match up that silk with the light.
Yeah. And the light, you want to keep it this way?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Strong.
Right? You're doing it. Beautiful. Okay. And like, what kind of that's perfect. We just kind of rotate it this way here. Cool, cool, cool. And so I'm kind of just trying to make this light parallel with that silk right there. Just to get like a nice even light. That looks pretty spot on. So,
Okay, let's look at
take
the
a
difference.
test. It got a lot darker because we did move the light further away, which is fine. We got tools for that.
Nice.
So I'm gonna raise it up about a stop and a half. Let's see. Oh, it's not making the sounds. What are we at? 7. Alright, so that's like one full stop there.
Yeah. Much lighter.
Oh no, I just saw somebody comment on my booping. Have I said boop yet? I've probably done it a bunch, haven't I? Okay.
They recognize the boop.
Man, I got so good at not saying it.
That's how they
after
caught
the
you.
last
Oh,
time.
I think she was live with us before. They recognize the boop.
That's
They were live, it was
adorable.
in July, right? Yeah. in
It
July.
was, yes.
Yeah, and they want to remember we did this truck with the flag. So you can watch all the replays on the Creative Cloud YouTube channel. If you search for Nicolle Clemetson on the Creative Cloud YouTube channel, you will see the previous episodes. We did what? The truck with the flag. Then we played with the liquids.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we
the
played with
bottles,
liquids and bottles.
and a portrait on day 3
And Lauren.
with Lauren.
She's Angel.
Also, question from Natasha. How did you get started in photography?
Well, it's funny she asks that. You're actually going to meet the woman that sort of inspired me to get into
Oh,
photography
yeah,
at about,
our next
11
guest.
o'clock? Yeah.
Yeah.
Marla was literally the first photographer I ever assisted. She came to Phoenix for like an ESPN magazine shoot.
Oh.
And her first assistant hit me up as needing a second assistant. I remember he was all like, oh, do you know how to use like pro photo lights or change film in a Hasselblad? And like, all the time I'm just like, oh yeah, absolutely.
Sure.
No idea what he was talking about. But I went straight down to the rental department or whatever, the camera rental place, and like had my friends that worked there like show me how to do it all. Showed up on set. I didn't screw anything up for her, so that was great. And she hired me back a handful of more times when she came through Arizona. And yeah, so I mean, that for me is where I got my start in commercial photography. You know, it was like that's where I learned the business, learned how to deal with art directors and the client on set. Like, one thing I love about Marla, and I think she's going to be working on it this week, is like her ability to like really just get everything in camera.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just that was always very important to her on set, and I think that really taught me a lot about like what it means to truly make a photograph. You know what I'm saying? So so that's always been kind of my goal. So yeah.
Awesome.
So yeah, I'm very excited to see Marla. Like it's been like 13 years, so.
Yeah, she will be live with us. I don't even know what time is it. In in about 1 hour and 25 minutes.
Awesome! Yay!
It's 9:35. We need to keep a look at the clock because after we'll go back on the table with Terry White and we'll edit these pictures in the new Lightroom CC.
Perfect. Thanks for your patience, team. I am literally just trying to reposition my camera here. A little more exciting. And what did that last shot look like lighting-wise? Okay, so I think now we can do a little bit of this, Michael, if you wouldn't mind. Just gonna kind of stack it up right there.
Okay.
Bounce all that light back into the shot. Perfect. Thank you. We got one more. Just make sure to focus. Alright.
Does it make a difference?
Sure does. Can we go back a couple frames? Is that possible?
Terry?
Yeah,
can you
so
go
that
back
was
a
like
couple
before.
frames? Okay.
And then if we go forward, you can kind of see right there where we threw that fill card in.
Oh.
That makes a pretty big difference in my book. I don't know about you guys, but let's see here. However, I raised my camera. I think I'm going to go back down again though. Right there. And as you guys can see in the shot too, you know, like I'm getting the edge of the table in the frame there. I'm pretty much. Oh, whoops, sorry about that. I almost always crop my frames to 4x5, unless like it's something, you know, super tall that requires kind of a longer frame like that. So all of that will be cropped out here in the end. And why can't I get this to stop moving? Okay, there we go.
And 4x5, it was a standard film, or?
Yeah, I mean that's the standard sort of medium format. I mean this isn't a medium format camera,
Yeah.
but that's the medium format frame, and I just think composition-wise it
For
looks
the
a lot better.
composition.
Yeah. All right, so we're still playing around here, team. I'm actually gonna move in a little bit closer now.
So we have a question from Janet. Her daughter is in her early 20s and she's interested in photography. Would you have any recommendation for her to get started?
My biggest recommendation or piece of advice for anybody looking to do this for a living, is to get out there and find a photographer whose work you love, that you can assist, because I've had plenty of interns and stuff that have worked with me that have gone through art school and photo school and all that, and it's great. Like obviously there's, a lot to be learned, but like the amount of education you get on set, like actually working with people that, are doing this, and I mean half the time you're getting paid too, so it's kind of a nice nice little balance there. But yeah, I guess that would be my recommendation really, is shoot as much as you can, or like your daughter obviously, and have her find a photographer in your town that she could maybe shadow for a couple months or something, Alright, we're doing it, you guys.
Okay.
Let's see. Alright, so I'm gonna kinda, sorry, I'm like a tiny little perfectionist. You can't handle it when things aren't like perfectly level. Up. That's better. I think I like this. I'm trying to decide. I think we're gonna move everything towards camera just a little bit.
Okay.
Mainly because that horizon line is kind of messing with me, and I have an idea. Okay, there we go. We might have to move Fishy around a little bit too.
Creepy fish.
He's not creepy. He's totally creepy.
Diana is asking, is your photography Instagram account the same as your personal Instagram, or do you have different accounts? Like how do
I just have the one.
Yeah, just one.
Yeah, so there's some personal stuff on there. It's mainly pictures of my golden retrievers, so if you enjoy dogs.
Hey Rod, good to see you.
Okay, now we're getting somewhere, team. Goodbye.
Okay.
That wide, we'll still get a little bit of that.
Widening the curtain.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, you had too much shadows in the curtain.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? I see what's going on now. Pull it this way. Sorry, I know you're here to assist me. I'm the worst. I am.
No, that's fine. I look at the chat. Don't worry.
Ay, ay, ay. All right. Beautiful. All right.
So Nicholas, yeah, there is only one light on the subject.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe I can give you a tour again.
Yeah.
Here, this is the light with the screen. So you see that, so when you use the Pro Photo like this, so you just diffuse a little bit of light, but just to help you with the shot, right? But then when she's taking a picture, it will activate a flash.
Yeah.
She's using this hair remote here, this piece, to trigger the flash.
I sure am.
And what is the power on the flash? Remember that?
I think it's reading at about like an F16.
16. Okay.
Yeah. Alright. And now's kind of the point in product photography or still photography where we're just gonna
Ooh.
slowly tweak everything in until it's exactly where I need it to be.
Okay.
So it's amazing. Yeah, like before I got into especially like heavy prop styling, like still life stuff, looking through ads and magazines or this, that, or the other, she's like, oh man, how cool, I just like set a thing down and took a really pretty picture. And then I like actually started working with prop stylists and it was just like, okay, no, we're just gonna move it, a 32nd of an inch. And it's literally, you do that over and over, but when everything's perfect, has the perfect tension between it, and like, I don't know, it's a great feeling. It's very
Maybe
very
Terry, you
rewarding.
can show before and after she moved everything to the front. So we realize, I think it makes a big difference. So she was playing with the curtain.
Right.
Let's go all the way back.
Yeah, that's the way back.
Yeah, go.
This is where we started.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We have the time lapse.
Oh yeah.
Time lapse of the shot.
That was
Yeah,
like,
you guys are great.
That was it. By the way, do we need lights? Okay.
Yeah. Then we started dialing, or she started dialing it in too bright.
Yeah, too bright.
Bring it
Okay.
down, bring it
Again.
down. Changing the prop, too bright.
Yeah.
Now changing the composition.
Here we go, to the front.
There we
Boom.
go. Nice. Yeah, and I mean, really, so much of this is just, trial and error, and I find myself on set, whether I'm by myself or if I have my assistant with me, literally just like saying out loud, so what if we do this? What if we do this? Well, like over and over again, and then it's just like, eventually you get to that spot where everything
So-
looks...
Antoine is asking you what is the importance, the shot or the processing after?
That's a really good question. When I shoot, like I shoot for post, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Like,
you have the post in mind.
yeah, like I shoot knowing what I am more than likely going to do or going to want to do, whether it's Lightroom or Photoshop. And like even for this, like I know for a fact, like the orange curtain, like I'm gonna be brightening up that color a whole lot. The blue is gonna get much more saturated on the tabletop because like it's super washed out once you start throwing the light on it. But yeah, so I guess that's kind of where I go, and it's also because I, came from like black and white film and the darkroom world and all of that, like I have a tendency to shoot, like I kind of shoot for my shadows, if you will. Like I want to make sure when I'm shooting and lighting stuff that like in my darkest tones that there's still readable information. And then that, because I can always kind of, pull, usually I'm not blowing stuff out, but like, I feel like it's a lot easier to pull the highlights down in post than it is to try to pull information out of shadows where there isn't any information, sort of a thing. So I have a tendency to, kind of do that a lot as well. So that's kind of why I think when I shoot, my images are, the raw files are like very bright a lot of the time. It's because I'm trying to almost overexpose it a little bit. So, alright. So I'm really digging the composition. Like I'm loving how like these little grass things in front are sort of covering up the toe on the other shoe. Because it kind of makes that shoe in front look sort of more important, if you will.
And Antoine is asking you, do you need to be in a dark room? You know, when you work with a strobe light like this?
Not necessarily. I mean, it helps. It helps with lighting control. Like, it's really great when you can just throw the modeling light on and not have any other lights on, so you can really truly see how you're lighting something or whatever. But usually strobes are going to be more power, you know, especially if you're dealing with like higher watt seconds and stuff. Like, they're going to overpower most of the ambient light in the room. But I don't know. It's, as a photographer, it's nice to see the light you're creating, you know, instead of like, one shot, okay, change it. One shot, change it. You know, it's just like, oh. Because, like, for instance, right now, this shadow under this front shoe is literally killing me. So.
Which one? This one?
Yeah.
Or this one? This
Yeah.
one?
Oh, I actually don't mind the one in the front. It's just that long,
It's too long.
gnarly shadow.
So
Actually, Michael, if you want to move this, I'll move the light with you, and then they can kind of see.
Okay.
They can sort of watch that shadow sort of decrease as we bring the light a little more overhead. So close, man. Okay, almost there. Oh yeah, that's as far as we're going on. Okay, perfect. Alright, so you guys kind of saw, like, now when I snap that, you'll see that shadow's now in the frame as opposed to sort of falling out of the frame. Which...
Oh, yeah. Wow.
See, that pleases me. Now, I don't like that weird shadow that we've got kind of coming down through those boxes, so...
Can we do a quick before and after? Terry, just one. Yeah, so this is the long shadow because the light was too far, and this is the new one.
And I mean, and obviously you can see how the light changed on the backdrop
Nice.
and all of that too. So we're gonna go ahead. Right now this light's kind of at an angle. We're gonna like really try to flatten it out a little bit. And then Michael's gonna follow me with this scrim there. And then haha. So actually that, yeah, we can back that up.
Okay.
Oh, I see the A clamps. Well, this is a very delicate situation. Do you want me to take the sandbag off of it? Oh, yay! Yes. Okay, cool. And then got it. Nice. Perfect.
Around here.
That works. And then I'm also going to have you, on that knuckle there, kind of loosen it so we can sort of straighten this out a little bit, which might be a sad story because of
sad.
that.
It's sad. Oh, come on.
I know. Woohoo! Okay.
That's it?
Bitchin'.
Yeah.
Okay. So that didn't do too much, and you'll kind of see on these two shots to eliminate that shadow problem. We're going to fix that more in the styling of things, I believe. So maybe we were going for something nice and probably like totally just facing my butt to camera. Okay. Like a little bit of that shadow. So can you guys? Oh, I guess you can't see from that angle. But Mike, you can kind of like see, you know, if I move that shoe forward, we're going to get a much weirder, heavier shadow there. But if I move it back on those risers, you know, we'll be able to play around a little bit more.
We do a hair shot.
Oh,
there
yeah.
we go.
Oh, beautiful. Let's see. How this one goes?
Okay, we have the picture.
Yeah, that's it.
Done in one, guys. So actually, we're going to try, if I do a little separation on those boxes, we're really just getting a nice shadow sort of through that crevasse, so...
And it adds some tension, you see?
Haha.
Danger because...
Yes.
You know? Like it.
Oh gosh, sorry, now I'm like beating you up.
Hitting the assistant.
Oh man, alright. Now you see that we want to play around a little bit more with that. Ooh, nice.
Robert is asking where is the best place to get Apple boxes. Good question.
Gosh, all of my Apple
At the
boxes
supermarket?
I've either made or been given But I was just on Adorama the other day, and they sell like full Applebot sets for like, it was like $125, $130. So you get like a full box, a half, a quarter, and a pancake. Pretty good deal.
Hey, Marla.
Marla! Sorry, everybody.
Marla, who will be live with us in a big hour. So yeah, I wanted to show what an Apple box is. And this one is vintage because it says Micromedia. So it's a very old Apple box. Very old.
I don't know, that looks pretty nice, man. Alright. So, we're still messing around over here. Oh, hey Michael, I have a favor to ask. Could you tighten this here knuckle there that I'm looking at? I always start doing stuff and I only have like 2 hands. Okay, and then... Yeah. Is it that guy or that guy? Somebody's guy. Yay! Alright. We're going to the end. Okay.
Okay, who said that? Yeah, someone said made a good remark saying that the more the lights come to the top, the more it looks like a fish tank. Anyway.
Totally.
Yeah,
Ooh,
yeah.
yeah. I like that.
It's fun.
That's the other fun thing about like art and photography. It's like we can all take so many different sort of, you know, ideas and looks at things and come up with our own ideas.
Henry's for the contest is asking, do selfies count as a portrait? Yeah, of course. I mean, the selfie is a portrait.
I mean, last time I checked.
Yeah.
I just want this fish to be super sneaky, but I don't know how.
Oh, how can you see?
Well, because I love him because he looks like he's really bummed out. He's got like a frown on his face. I don't know why he's having a bad day,
Yeah.
but we'll see what that looks like.
Let's see.
I feel like that was when I was doing these test shots. That was the goldfish placement was like the trickiest thing. Ooh, feeling something about this. Yeah. Okay. All right. Ooh, those boxes are definitely more interesting like that.
Yeah.
And I kind of don't mind those shadows either coming from those shoes. Let's see. So, I'm gonna tighten one of these shoes up. So, unfortunately, still life photography isn't nearly as like energetic and interesting as portrait photography because I'm just like dealing with inanimate objects. But hopefully, people are learning some stuff, or at least being inspired. Boom, boom. Let's see, what was that last shot? So I'm going to...
Hi Paul, so Terry's here. Yeah, he would be in the... yeah. Working in the new Lightroom CC in a few minutes actually.
Yeah!
It's 53, Nicolle, okay?
Okay.
I'm your time assistant. And the clock.
You're a great clock. I love it. Okay, and then... Michael, I'm gonna see. We're gonna have you actually hold it from this angle
Like this.
instead. Yeah.
Okay. Ooh.
I love our sound effects.
Mm-hmm.
Do that one. Okay, so it is looking a little bright now. Almost too bright for me. So I'm just gonna actually go up to an F13. I don't mind. Messed up the field. Okay. Oh, you know what? Okay. Everything's looking good. Watch this. Wait, you got that guy. We're gonna throw some light over y'all. I think you've booped more than I have.
Whoa, yeah.
Ooh, can we do a before and after there and see?
That's before.
Oh, it's
No.
after.
Do you have the before, Terry? Okay,
Haha.
before.
Nice.
Okay. Oh yeah. See on,
yeah,
the,
that
on the fish. Look.
pleases me tremendously. Okay.
Okay, so maybe this I can try to fix it now.
Nice.
I have to
actually, yeah, for the fish, here, let me hold it really quick. I just kind of want to see that. So I want it like on the fish, but I don't want it to hit this shadow in there if that's possible. So just kind of right about there, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. Big money, no whammies. Cool. Oh yeah, that was a little bit. Okay.
More fish?
Now I'm just trying to figure out.
I can add some.
Does he just need to be like framed out a little bit by that box? Just who knows? Maybe that's interesting. Ooh. Okay, yeah. I actually think that's like way more cool with the fish there.
Okay.
So, I'm gonna do that. Okay, I need to stop touching things here. Beautiful. I'm applauding myself there. It's okay. I like high five myself when I'm alone in the studio sometimes, so no judgment here. All right, I'm just gonna tweak that fish in just a hair.
Begin is asking you, how do you know the light exposure is correct or not? How do you?
I mean, honestly, I just use my eyeballs.
Yeah.
You know, like I'll use the light meter when I'm first setting up, just to kind of get the light somewhere where I want it to be, knowing like what aperture I'm gonna shoot
have a
at.
good range.
Yeah.
And after you just trust your eyes.
Yeah. And you know, like sometimes for portraits, like I will, like if I'm shooting with 6 lights, like I will meter every single one because I want it to be super dialed in and all. But I don't know with stuff. Gosh darn it! Sorry, I just kicked that.
Oh,
in
it's
the,
okay.
Is it?
Yeah,
okay?
I fix it. So.
Yeah. Sometimes I just like to have fun and see if my eyes can make magic happen. Oh yeah, that's great. Yay. Let me see. Okay. So I don't know if you guys can see, like between those 2 little riser boxes, there's like the tiniest of gaps, which I'm not
between the
into.
box.
Yeah. Yeah. Just gonna squish that together as hard as I can. Okay. And do some of that. Okay. Whew. Man, I'm gonna have like a hunchback when I'm older after all this just like going under gear and everything. Okay, guys, this looks beautiful. I'm gonna cheat this box this way just a hair. Hopefully eliminate that. Okay. Everybody hold their breath. Whee. Just kidding. You don't need to do that. Okay. Got one more, and I think I feel pretty darn good about this. Except for...
So asking like, how do you get inspired? Do you have any routine or just resources where you come back every time?
Yeah, I mean, it really is just looking at, like, I think for me, it's, you know, looking at a lot of pop culture references. I love, like, you know, fashion and sort of anything that's kind of current, or even, like, honestly, things that make me feel nostalgic, too. Yeah, and I don't know, like, a lot of the times, I mean, shoot, for, like, this whole concept, like, with the bigger shoot that I did come out in January, like, you know, this was literally, I think I was at PetSmart getting dog food or something, and I would, like, ended up in the fish section, and it was just, like, all these just, like, super cool neon plants, and just, like, you know, like, that literally inspired me. I was like, oh my gosh, these rocks come in different colors. That makes a cool texture, you know? So I was just, yeah, like, finding different textures and colors and stuff. Okay, we're almost there, babies. Let's see what happens when I turn that. Ooh. More dynamic.
Okay. So it's 10 a.m.
Radical.
So that you know. So we need to get closer to the.
Okay. Let's just do
The picture you
one
want.
more shot. We'll grab
Yeah.
a little
With the
fill light on
reflector.
him.
Go.
Oh my gosh, you guys have coffee.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Perfect. Nice. All right. I can live with that because
Okay.
it looks awesome.
Do you need your color?
Yep. For those of you that were with us last time, we never know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Color checker card. This you pretty much use for it's to kind of read the lighting setup to build a camera profile for me to use in Lightroom. Try not to touch the squares. And yeah, once we get into the computer, I can kind of walk you through it. And that can go, just straight across in front. Push it in a little bit more for me. A little bit more. Right there. So we're just trying to capture that whole palette of colors. And then I'll show you what we do with that here momentarily. But yeah. Feels good, guys. I like it. All right. Shall we...
Do you feel we have the picture?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Do you feel
Oh,
we
yeah.
have the picture?
Yeah.
Yay!
Love it.
Okay, cool.
Okay, we need a name for this picture, by the way. So they will be creative, yeah. If you can
Oh yeah,
find,
somebody come up with a name for this, because I'm
name?
terrible at that.
And also, as you will be moving back to Terry, we will ask you to be active in the chat, okay? We have some giveaways for you. We'll give away posters, illustrations. So be active in the chat
Yay.
in the next
Ask questions.
3 to 4 minutes. And we will randomly pick someone and announce the winner in about 4 minutes. So at least say hi everyone, or asking a question to Nicolle. But now we'll switch back to the table to edit the picture in the new Lightroom CC. Bye everyone.
Hi, Terry.
Hi, welcome back.
Thanks for having me.
You were gone. You were like,
I know, where did I go, man?
Way over there.
So far away. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. I
You
like
think
your
you got
watch.
the
That's a
shot?
great watch, man.
Oh,
there.
thank you.
Yeah, man. I think we got the shot.
I think you got the shot. You know, now it's funny because normally we would go through all of the different shots and pick your favorites.
Totally.
And it was like it was like you said yesterday. It's the last one.
It's usually the last one. Yeah.
Right.
Totally.
So we could get the monitors turned around so we can see the chat. That'd be great. And we're gonna go ahead and.
I'm gonna grab my glasses really quick.
Oh, you're gonna grab the glasses. Okay. Cool.
That is always a helpful thing.
All right. While she's grabbing her glasses.
If you want to see the chat,
they're
asking you will sing later.
Uh,
You did it once.
once and it just will not go away. All right, so let me explain a little bit about what we had set up so you can kind of see the technology behind the curtain. While she was shooting, you're shooting with your Canon
5D Mark III.
Mark III, okay.
Yeah.
We were tethering, so that means there's a long USB cable coming from that camera all the way over to my computer. And we're tethering into Lightroom Classic CC because Lightroom CC doesn't tether yet at this point.
I was unaware of that. That's good to know.
So if we get out a full screen here, you can see that every single shot she captured all the way back to the very beginning, from the very first where we had no frame or basically no light, come all the way over to the last shot, which is this one with the color checker. So
that's the hero.
Yeah, this is all right. So this is the tether bar here that shows up in Lightroom Classic, which of course you can hit the letter T. I'm sorry, not T, but Command T. There we go to hide it, or Command T to bring it back up. And then once you're done with your tether session, just close it. And now you're no longer tethered, and you can disconnect the camera, which I think Michael already did. All right, so these images came in as you're shooting raw, I take it?
Correct. Yeah.
Yep, I can see by the CR2. These images came into a folder on this hard drive, and they're just sitting there. But I also, when you set up your tethering session, let me go ahead and show you that dialog. You also get the ability to add them to a collection. So I was adding them to a collection, and that collection was also syncing to Lightroom CC.
I'm literally learning stuff right now.
Good,
This is great.
good. So they are technically kind of in the cloud already, but they're in the cloud since Lightroom Classic only submits them as smart previews. They're not the full resolution in the cloud.
Okay.
But we have the full resolution on the desktop, and we're going to get that full resolution image over to Lightroom CC in just a second here. All right, so now that you know where everything is, let's go ahead and I just want to show people that, here it is, Show and Finder. I want to show people that, yeah, I call this folder or this session Nicolle Day 1, and there they all are. So here are all the images that came in, all the raw files are here, and they're just sitting in a folder in a pictures folder. Okay, so now we can actually, we're pretty much done with Classic. We can quit out of it at this point. And if I pop over here to Lightroom CC and I click on the Nicolle Still Life album, this is the one that came over from Classic.
Oh, look at how pretty that interface is.
They're all here. So we're in the new Lightroom CC now. Yes. And if I click on one of these images and I go to the Info tab, you'll see that it says locally, there's only a smart preview, and in the cloud, there's only a smart preview. Well, we want to fix that. We want to actually get the full resolution images that we know we have already. So the beauty of this is that I don't have to change anything with what I've done so far. All I have to do is just go to Add Photos, go to that same folder that's got all the raw files in them, and just, well, actually we'll select all, we'll say Review for Import. They're all checked, and I'll just say add these 46 photos, because I already added a few of them already. And
now that's not moving.
It's not moving, right?
Okay.
It's not doing anything, but it's now saying, okay, I know where the high res are.
Yeah.
We'll use those instead.
Cool.
So now if I go to the Info tab, it should say original file is local, and it's now syncing the high res up to the cloud, replacing those smart previews.
Rad.
So we don't have to wait for that. We can just continue working. So that's kind of like that. If you wanted to use both versions of Lightroom for the purpose of what Lightroom Classic does and the benefits of Lightroom CC, you could. Or you could just use Lightroom CC, and if you had shot this to a card, that's what we would have done. We just would have imported your card, and that's it. Okay, so we are here.
Oh, Terry, we have a winner for the posters in the chat.
We have a winner for the posters, Mel Volverson. Mel Volverson, congratulations. And what did Mel win?
Sorry?
What did Mel win, and why did he win?
Free prints.
Free
Random,
prints? Oh, that was the
chat.
random. Okay,
Yeah.
I was like, we didn't see the before and after.
Congratulations,
Okay,
Mel.
congratulations, Mel.
You're doing it.
All right, so what do you want to do next?
I feel like there's a couple of questions maybe I should
Oh,
answer.
sure, you can do the question.
Let's see. I did not use a filter for the lens. I was shooting on a 24 to 70 millimeter L lens, Canon situation. I thought I saw something else. I can't. No. Oh, everything's so fast. Okay, cool. Yay! I answered questions.
All right, Paul's asking, will I be showing the monitor setup for the tethering session? It went by so fast I didn't see the rest of it. There's not really a monitor setup other than I'm using a Wacom Cintiq as the display for this, connected to a Mac Pro, which was used for the tethering.
That thing is crazy, by the way.
No.
I love it.
Cool.
Cool.
Can you buy storage space with Lightroom CC in your subscription? You can.
One fish, shoe fish. I love it. As the title for the photo.
And what lens were you using?
The Canon 24 to 70 L lens.
24 to 70 L lens. Is that your normal focal length? Like, is that what
It
you
is. Sometimes.
shoot the most?
Yeah. Sometimes I'll rent like a 70 to 200. You know, if I'm looking to be a little bit further away from my subject
Yeah.
and have that ability to kind of zoom in and play around. But yeah. Lenses are expensive, so you know, I use the ones I got, man.
That's right. Okay. So, what's next? I'm just your operator. You tell me what you
You're
want
so
to do.
sweet. Okay. So I think what we'll do first is we'll make our select of the image
Okay.
that we're going to be working on. Which,
That ought to be pretty easy.
I don't know. Where do we start? Is it that like all black one?
I kind of like, yeah, I was going to say, I kind of like that original one that was there, wherever it
Oh
went.
goodness, it's probably better that way.
Yeah, it's, I think what it is. Like, we go to all photos. Those are all 51. Yeah, there we go.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, some of these
Me
didn't get
being
put in
moody,
the
if you
collection,
will.
so let's go ahead and move those over too, so we got them all.
Cool.
There we are. Okay, so they're all there
Nice.
now.
So yeah, we go all the way to the end there, and then if we can just maybe flag the color checker shot,
All right.
and then the one just before that, which I believe will
Just
be our
before that.
hero.
I'm pretty sure that's what's going to be the case. But
Same.
all right, so in your flagging choices, you have a pick flag and a reject flag. So the rejects would obviously be like the ones you say, you know what, I'm not even going to waste any disk space with these. Like this is going to be the image that I don't keep. I want to delete that
Totally.
one. Just I'm never going to use it. What's the point of having it on the hard drive? So you probably would reject a couple of these initial ones because they were just testing the light, getting the room set up.
Now, when you reject them, does that remove them from the hard drive, or
It doesn't remove them at this point. It's saying at this point, hey, I'm going to want to get rid of these.
okay? So then
but
you
I
can go
haven't
into
gotten rid of
that
them yet. So you can
folders
find just
and-
the ones
okay.
that were rejected. Correct. Rejected, I should say.
Like, this is really great. Like I'm literally getting like a firsthand intro into
And I'm going to
into
guess
the new
that,
Lightroom too.
that one's probably a reject as well. Because that was
Totally.
literally
Oh,
just
yeah.
turning the lights on.
Yeah, and pretty much
Turning-
anything through the last like
Turning the
10
lights on.
shots.
And you might, people get really freaked out when you say you're going to delete some photos because, like, no, I might need it. I might want to keep those for some reason. The client might want no.
You can look at my
These first
terabytes
five,
upon terabytes of hard drives.
you're never going to use. It's
Yeah.
okay to let them go. Free up that space.
I agree with Terry.
All right, and I like the hair shot, but I'm sure you have a better one. So let's go ahead and reject that one as well. Okay, so you can go through and reject, and we'll talk about the actual deletion process in just a second here. But let's go ahead and we mark these two as picks.
Yes.
The only thing, go ahead. Oh, all right.
Or no, what are you gonna say?
No. That's going to make another comparison to the Lightroom Classic. I don't have to.
Okay.
Also, one last thing is when you reject, the other thing it does kind of visually is it dims the photo.
Oh, okay.
So that's why
helpful.
that one's not as bright as the other one. So like, for example, if I reject this one as well, yeah, there we go.
Nice.
And once I click off of it, it dimmed it. So you can kind of visually see, don't waste your time with the ones that are dim because they're rejects.
Nice. Now, this compared to like the classic Lightroom, because I'm more used to seeing
I should probably, you know what?
smaller thumbnails with the with the
I
information.
quit out of Lightroom Classic. I should probably keep it open just so we can refer back and forth.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious. Yeah, just to see sort of visually see the differences between the two.
Right. Okay, and it will sync those changes as well. So it will sync the, I shouldn't say
right.
changes, it will sync those flags. So see the flags just came in, all the rejects.
That's awesome.
So it is communicating back and forth between them in the cloud. All right, so let's switch back over. So you were asking about the thumbnails?
Oh yeah, just when you're in classic where you've got it tells you more information around the thumbnails or whatever.
Correct. This does not.
It doesn't. I'm okay with that. It's actually I love how clean it is.
Yeah. And that was the point, is that starting over with Lightroom CC as built from the ground up, really approaching that base of users that always said like Lightroom Classic or Lightroom was too hard or doing too many things that I don't ever do. Let's
sure,
start
yeah.
with something simple and build on that.
Now, is this new version do you use Bridge often anymore?
No, I haven't used Bridge often in years. So
Well, it's funny because I still use it for just organizing files and I don't know. I use it in the way that I know I should be using Lightroom.
okay.
Does that make sense? For workflow and all
Yeah,
of
yeah.
that. So I'm I think maybe now with this new version of Lightroom, I'll be able to sort of maybe make that jump and actually start using this to its full functionality for
Okay.
once. Yay, see?
She said
This
that
is
I
great.
didn't.
I'm learning stuff.
Good.
I'm good at selling stuff too. Okay. JK lols. So let's I suppose let us make our camera profile with that color checker.
All right, so
Shot.
you're going to show me that because I don't
Oh,
use
fun.
this app, so you're going to show me.
All
So color
right.
checker and display color.
Just
okay,
act like
that's
everything's
fine.
calibrated. So now you can actually tap back into Lightroom, and we're gonna export that color checker file as a DNG, just onto the desktop or something.
Okay. So what we're going to do is select this one and see even the terminology. Like in Lightroom Classic, it would be import export.
Yeah.
In Lightroom CC, it's add or save to.
Ooh.
Simpler, less threatening terms.
Well, and words that I already use with most of
Right.
my other software. That's
so
pretty
we'll
great.
just simply say save that one
Oh my god.
to the desktop in its original format. And we can choose where to save it. It's going to automatically, if I don't change it, it's going to save it into a folder in your pictures folder. That's where you'll always know where your Lightroom exported photos are. As a matter of fact, I'll just save it there.
Now, will it save it as a DNG or as a RAW file?
I told it original, so it's going to be the original. You need a DNG?
I do for that
All right,
particular
so for
software,
that particular app, then in that case, we are going to go back to Classic. Because Classic lets us convert that CR2 into a DNG.
Okay.
All right. Okay. So, for example, let's go back to, is it at the top? There it is, bottom. So we're going to select it, and here's just a tip for those of you who are, that are using Lightroom Classic, is that even though when you import your photos, you can tell it to convert to DNG upon import, when you tether, you don't get that option because it's trying to bring the images in as fast as it can. So what I can do after the fact is I can go to my library menu and just simply convert that photo to a DNG.
Heck yeah.
And it'll ask me, do I want to delete the original after it's done? Sure, why not? And should only take a second. And so now that one, in comparison, hold on 1 second. There we go. In comparison to the others are CR2s, which are the Canon's a native RAW format.
Yes.
And DNG is the non-proprietary RAW format that other software applications can use without needing to convert. All right, so now that we got that as a DNG, I should just be able to go right to it. So let's just simply say show in Finder. And there it is as a DNG.
Yeah, okay, that
yeah,
makes-
we don't have to export it.
Yeah.
It's already
Beautiful. Oh my God, you saved us a step. I love it.
there. And now we go back to the color checker and drag that in.
Drop it right in there. And so what this app's going to do is...
So yeah, explain what is this?
I
'Cause
mean,
you took a picture of the card.
I'm not the smartest person to be asking about this, but I do know what it does for my images. Because my work's so colorful and everything, it's important to me, to get kind of the truest representation of those colors in my RAW files. So by shooting a color checker card, what this software is doing now, as you can see, like all those little green squares over the color squares, it's pulling that information and kind of creating a camera profile for this particular shot. So it's pretty much changes, like if I changed my lighting, I would need to take a different color checker card because it's reading.
So basically that's why you put the card in the shot so that the light of the surrounding setup is being captured at the time when you shoot it. Okay.
Totally. So it looks, so in here, you can kind of adjust those boxes, but everything's fallen perfectly into place. So we'll hit the Create Profile button.
Okay.
And then let's save this one as one fish, wait, what was it again? One fish, shoe fish, I think was the... I know you're all like, what is she talking about?
Shoefish. Okay, one fish, shoefish.
Cool. And it'll save right to the camera profiles folder there.
All
Give
right.
it a moment. All
Profile's
right.
been created.
Successful.
Applications that use profile. Okay, I'm learning new things. This is good.
And then we can go ahead and just close that application.
All right.
Beautiful. And then the one thing we have to do is restart Lightroom for that camera profile
for it
be
to take into effect?
Yeah,
Okay.
take into effect.
Let's quit Lightroom and relaunch it. Lightroom Classic, that is. All right.
Woo.
Woo.
Now, if we go to our hero shot, the one right next to it,
This one.
yeah, one big in, or yeah, go into the develop module.
You will go right there. And I assume you're going down to the profile.
Sure am.
Camera calibration.
All right, and then yeah,
One fish, shoefish.
boom.
Boom. Didn't make a big difference, but you got it.
It,
Now you know
it feels
its
good to
profile.
know that
Now
it's
you
there,
know
totally.
there, right?
Because man, there are times when like I forget to get that capture of the card, and then like I'm in post and just like, why? Like I can never go back. So
Okay.
this pleases me.
Good.
All right, so that's usually where I start in my Lightroom like post or whatever. So
And I'm going to save that to the metadata just in case. I just hit Command S, by the way. So there really, when you're making changes in Lightroom Classic or Lightroom CC, there really is no need to save because it's just automatically doing it. But it's doing it inside of Lightroom. So in other words, when you hit Command S or Control S on Windows in Lightroom Classic, it is actually saving that metadata that you just adjusted to the actual file or to the sidecar.
Nice.
So,
I appreciate that.
All right, that has happened.
See, I noticed somebody on there said like, oh, like it didn't really make it, or nothing changed. Am I missing something? Nah, sometimes it's a big change with the color checker. Sometimes it's
That's
not
what
at
I
all.
said. Yeah,
so
didn't see much of a change.
yeah.
All right.
All right.
So now that should be synced over.
Oh shoot, that's right.
So now we should be here with those changes.
Cool. All right, so tell me,
Oh,
Terry.
wait, hold on. Let's make sure it's synced over. Let's get out of this. And let's... Yep, okay, we're good. We're synced.
Good?
All right, so now we're back in Lightroom CC.
Beautiful.
All right, what's next?
Let us bring our newly synced and
is here.
color-corrected file into the develop module. Is there one of those
Okay,
here?
so
Talk to
that's
me.
the thing. In Lightroom Classic, you had all these modules: library, develop, book,
I got
map,
so good at all of them.
slideshow, print. In the new world of Lightroom CC, there are no modules. You just do the things you want to do. So if you want to edit this photo,
Such freedom.
you go into the editing. All non-destructive, of course.
This pleases me tremendously. Okay, so the first thing I would love to do is to crop this shot.
I knew you were going to go there. Yeah.
Right,
All right,
right,
so let's go to the cropping.
Radical. If we can maybe bust it into like a 4:5 ratio,
I
I'd
think
be
we
very
might
excited.
be able to do that. There's the 4:5 ratio.
Beautiful. And then let's try to line up that horizon line with that like bottom third.
All right, so you want to
Guide.
move it like there,
Down a little bit.
down a little bit,
Oh yeah, right there.
right there.
And look, I can't tell.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
That horizon line would be right on the money.
Beautiful.
There you go. Got
And I
it.
can't tell. Is it?
Is it straight?
Is it level? Yeah.
And it can be
Maybe
turned
tweak it
a little.
Perfect.
So, okay, so when you're cropping, the crop shows up by default as a rule of thirds. So there's guides going horizontally and guides going two guides going horizontally, two guides going vertically. And what she was trying to do is get the base of the table into that lower third section. Now that line going across is perfectly even on the right-hand side, but a little bit above the table on the left side, which lets me know that it's not perfectly straight. So one of the things you can do besides moving it is you can also rotate the image so that you can get it to line up and be a little straighter. That's going to crop into your image a little bit more, but now that's perfectly
I
straight.
love it. That pleases me.
That's my job.
Yay! We're doing our jobs. All right. Yeah, that's good to
Okay,
me, man.
so then you can click the crop again to get out of it. And of course, that is all non-destructive. So if you want
Already
to
looks
go
nice.
back and recrop, you can.
Heck yeah.
Well, thank you. I
He's a
appreciate
great
the compliment.
teacher. Is that the one you were looking at?
That is the one I
Okay,
was
good.
looking at.
I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of compliments. Up there.
No, not for me. It's just for the fish.
Yeah.
All right. What's next?
So let's. Oh wait, I'm gonna have to work on my terminology here because I'm so used to
That's
Lightroom
okay.
Classic,
I'll
but we're learning
do the
together.
translate.
Okay,
I can
it's perfect.
translate.
So let's go back into the editing
Okay.
situation room.
Yep, we're there.
And let's. All right, these glasses they're better for like this distance, not that one. So first thing I normally do is kind of go into.
Hold on, let me tilt this a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Might be easier to see that way.
Radical.
There we go.
Oh, perfect. Heck yeah. Oh my god, you guys, the colors make me so happy right now.
Yeah.
So, okay, I guess I'm trying to figure out what process we want to take for our
Well, yeah,
post-production.
just tell me your normal process and I'll try and translate it into the new
Okay,
one.
so
what
normal
will be your
process, we're
next
doing
step?
this. My next step would be, I guess, going into the top half there, as I
The
used
basic
to.
panel?
The
Yep.
basic panel, thank you,
In
perfect.
Lightroom Classic, the
All
basic
right,
panel.
and we're gonna go through kind of the exposure, contrast, highlights, all of
Okay.
that sort of
and
stuff.
they're all here.
Yeah,
So there's exposure, contrast, highlights, shadows, blacks, or whites and blacks.
I like that. So I feel pretty good about the actual exposure that we got in camera.
Yeah, it looks good.
So let's maybe
I wouldn't change that.
let's tweak the highlight button. What do we?
Which way do you want to go?
Okay, so what I normally do, like in most,
Try it one way. And
I
then
do.
go the other?
I like to just kind of see what
Okay.
it looks like, because sometimes I try to stay really close to center.
This is bringing the highlights all the way down, and that's bringing the highlights all the way up.
Okay, let's
Not
go
a
back down
huge
again.
difference,
Yeah,
but-
just to kind of see. I'm gonna say let's keep it at about a -10.
-10.
on those.
Okay.
Yeah. I can live with that.
And if you just can't get the slider, you can always
gosh,
type
I
it
know.
in. All right, -10. There we go.
Like trying to do that with like a pen and stuff. I'm just like, oh, it will never do it. And then let's slide around those shadows a little bit.
All right.
Let's see what we got
Now,
there.
if I'm guessing, looking at your image, the shadows actually look pretty good. Yeah, you nailed the exposure. It looks pretty
Thanks,
good. It's not
man.
a whole lot I would change, but
Who knows, right?
I might darken the shadows just a bit.
Just to give it, like a teeny bit
Just to
more
give it a little bit more
contrast.
contrast, yeah. So maybe let's put
appreciate
the
that.
shadows at a -20, maybe?
Ooh, I like it.
All right.
Fun.
Keep the numbers nice and even.
Yeah, I always do that for some reason. I think
You
it's
don't have
just,
to.
I know you totally don't. It's all personal preference. And then I guess maybe let's see what the whites look like down just a little bit. I'm hoping maybe to make the
All right,
surface.
what are you guessing? Maybe a negative
-8?
-8?
Ooh.
Ooh, we're gonna go against the norm there. -8.
Keeping it even though,
Yeah,
man.
keeping it even numbers though.
I like it. And then maybe just kind of toggle the black slider a little bit.
Okay.
See if we need any clipping there. Nah. Nah.
Yeah, I don't like what it's. If I go brighter, I don't like what it's doing to the background.
Same. All right.
Yeah, not that. Again, you got the exposure.
And I mean, and honestly,
perfect.
like
There's
if
not a whole lot.
the less I have to mess around with those particular sliders, like the better I feel about myself, like, for
Totally.
taking the image or whatever. It's like, all right, we kind of accomplished it. So I guess, are we going on to the color? Oh
Yep,
yeah, we've got our
we're-
temperature
yep,
and all
there's
that.
color.
So I usually.
So, do you normally just go in that order from the top down?
I do, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I guess I start with the camera calibration first, but then
We already did that,
Pretty
yeah.
much, yeah. I just kind of work through it that way.
Okay.
I just never rhyme or reason to it really. I guess I just always did it that
All right.
way. So
Can I make one suggestion?
please do, yes.
All right. So, love the color calibration first step.
Mm-hmm.
Because what I've learned is before I go too much further into making all these fine-tune adjustments,
Mm-hmm.
if I go down and look at the optics, if
yeah.
I enable lens correction, then that kind of throws off some of the stuff
You're
I
the
already
best,
did.
totally.
So,
I'll do that
and it's like
last,
I do
and
it
then I have
last,
to go
like, oh
mess with
man,
the
now I gotta
exposure.
go mess with
yeah,
the other settings
totally.
again, right? So
Thank you for
if
that.
you're trying to think of an order to do things, or camera calibration first. Just go ahead and throw the lens correction on because sometimes that might brighten up the image.
Mm-hmm.
It certainly will take off some of the vignetting around certain lenses. So that way you're not making all these other adjustments in vain, only to have to go back and readjust them after you've turned this on.
In vain, literally.
Right, literally
Totally.
in vain, yeah. See, okay, so this is before.
Mm-hmm.
It's slightly darker, and this is after. It's not a huge difference.
But
It's
I like
taking
it.
some of the curvature out of the image, but it also made it slightly brighter, which that's okay. But if it wasn't okay, then you'd have to go back and adjust everything again.
And that's annoying.
All right, so that's why I wanted before you got too much further
No,
into
thank you
it.
for
that's
that.
why
Yeah,
let's go ahead
totally.
and turn that on first.
I just
and
go on
then-
autopilot
Right.
sometimes.
Then you
So I
can go
figure-
in and make the other adjustments.
Right.
Okay, so
Okie dokie.
the optics are done.
So, if I didn't do a color checker card, I would normally like try to dial in the white balance a little
balance
bit
is
more.
perfect, yeah.
But yeah, I always, my camera's always set to auto white balance, so I never really have to mess with that too much.
And that's the important distinction. Auto white balance is great and fine and no problem when you're shooting RAW. But if you're shooting JPEG, auto white balance may not be what you want because you don't get, JPEG is not as a forgiving format for changing the white balance after the fact. The point of RAW is that you can change the white balance to whatever you want in post. In JPEG, it's pretty much whatever the camera was on. So shooting RAW, you're fine, but shooting JPEG,
Just always shoot
it
raw.
could be
Just
very
always shoot raw.
limiting.
That's what I think.
Okay, so
Actually,
we're-
James had a good question. Can we reorder the panels
Nope.
in the new one?
No.
They're as they
They
are.
are
Okay.
as they are right now.
Good to know. Aha. Woo.
You're gonna hear me say that a lot right now, today.
Totally. Because this
Maybe,
just came out.
yeah, because maybe
2
in the
weeks ago
future
or
things will
something,
change.
Like,
Well, it came out at Adobe Max.
or at Max, yeah, that's right.
So that maybe
I guess that was
about a month
October.
ago,
Oh my
yeah.
gosh, time goes by so fast.
over a month ago now.
Was Max fun?
Max is always fun.
And I made it the year before in San Diego, but I didn't make it this year in Vegas, which I was bummed about because Vegas is pretty cool.
Got it. All right.
Ooh,
Just looking to make sure.
Shade.
As always. Okay, next.
All right, on to the next thing. So, feel good. I don't normally mess around with the vibrance or saturation.
Hold on. This is an important one. Laura's asking, how can I use the brush twice in different items with different adjustments? Laura, when you're using the adjustment brush, the first time you start painting an adjustment in, you're just going to keep making adjustments to that same item. In most cases, you have the ability, I'm just going to go ahead and show it to you since you asked that question. You have the ability to go in, yep, got it. And let's say I wanted to adjust the exposure up here, which I don't, but let's say I did. It's going to make that all brighter now. Now if I wanted to, and everywhere I paint, it's just going to keep making that brighter, and I'm making one adjustment. If I want to make another adjustment, that's what the plus sign is for, is to add a second brush or a third brush or a fourth brush. And you can keep making different adjustments with all those. In Lightroom Classic or Camera Raw, it would, instead of a plus sign, I think it's just the word new. And you can go ahead and just click new, and it will continue to make new brush adjustments. All right, let me undo those and get out of the adjustment brush, and away we go.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to play with the new Lightroom. Sorry, it's like so many tools that I can use now. Okay, we doing good over here? Questions? Perfect. Okay, so I don't normally mess around, like we're going into the color situation there.
Yeah, because the colors look good.
Yeah,
but
like
if they were off, what would you look to change?
Well,
it's hard to do that when they're not off. But
I know,
if they were off.
Well, I tried, and I don't always, but I try to stay away from like the vibrance and saturation sliders in here because I'd rather go into like the full-on saturation hue and luminosity panel. Which do we have?
You have. Oh, it's hard for me to see with this lights. You have the hue, saturation, and luminance here.
Oh, whoa. Okay, cool.
Yep. As well as the traditional black and white version that you can switch back and forth between. So that
it's all
toggles.
old-timey now. Fun.
It does look old-timey now. Yeah, you're right.
Oh man.
All right.
Well, yeah. So let's drop into our saturation little panels there.
Okay.
And my first goal is I want to bring the blue of the surface.
So this is where, like you were used to in Lightroom, where you would adjust the hue, the saturation, or luminance, or color. So you have those four choices.
Oh, because it'll okay.
Yeah.
Let's just stick with color, and we'll go into like the aqua.
Oh, sorry.
Little tabberoonie.
Undo.
Ooh, I was like, oh, wait, that looked kind of pretty though. Okay.
All right, so we're in color, and you want to go to which color?
The aqua.
Aqua, like that one.
Yeah, totally. And then let's bust up the saturation a little bit and see.
Ooh, I love saturation.
See what we got. Is that even doing anything? Can't tell. It might
that's
a little bit. Okay.
So I always go to the other extreme to make sure it's actually doing something.
It's good to see stuff with your eyes sometimes.
So it's not
just a little bit,
making a huge visual difference, but it's making a difference.
So let's just keep that one at about plus 30.
Okay, plus 30 it is.
And then let's go into the blue color.
The blue color next to it.
And then let's see if we bust up the saturation on that one. So,
same thing, 30.
Let's see what she does.
Not making a huge difference.
Okay.
That's no blue. Ooh,
okay, that's more,
okay. So this also helps you know where it's making the adjustment. So this is making it in the rocks. So that way you'll know where to look when you oversaturate it or undersaturate, because that's where the blues are in this image.
Awesome.
All right, so you tell me.
I'm like digging maybe this 25 or 30, somewhere in between there.
Let's try 25.
Okay. Yeah, because the one thing with saturation, it's just because of all my colorful stuff, is sometimes if you get it too saturated, it can really just mess up that color a lot, and like, I don't even know what the technical terms are. But you know what I'm saying? Where it just gets like.
So you also have this nice before and after down here at the bottom. So this is showing where we've come from so far.
Oh yeah.
And that's where we are now.
Okay. Oh, just tiny subtle differences.
Tiny subtle differences, and that's what it should be. If you're making huge, giant differences over here, that usually means you didn't get it right in the camera.
Amen to that.
Yeah, so you shouldn't be making giant differences over here.
Can we go back to the aqua color too?
Sure.
I actually want to play with the hue on that and see if we can maybe drag it a little more into the blue realm instead of.
So that's all the way over. That's all the way over to the left.
Gosh, or is it kind of cool to the little more aqua?
That's your choice.
I know. Oh no. Let's set that one at about like a -60.
-60 it is.
And then I'd love to see what it looks like if we bring the luminance down just a little bit, kind of darken that color up a little.
That's all the way down, which gets funky green.
Whoa.
That's all the way up.
Whoa. Maybe just, like a -20 or something on there, like
Okay.
little baby differences. Radical. And then let's play around with the green too, some. Maybe a little more. I'd say like maybe a +10 on the saturation and like a -5 on the luminance.
Oh, I like how you're just like, now you're just dialing the numbers in.
Yeah.
Like, she's using
I'm like,
the
oh yeah,
force.
I've done this before.
I know what it's going to look like before I do it.
Totally. Okay. Can we see a before and after on
Sure.
that too?
Before. Showing original.
Nice.
After.
Oh yeah, just a tiny bit of
Look.
difference.
Also, look at how much the grass, especially out of that bottom shoe, pops. That's like just undersaturated. That's oversaturated, or not over, but more saturated now.
Yeah, that pleases me tremendously.
Okay.
And then I know there's some yellow in both of those greens, so let's maybe play with that a little bit.
Okay.
I'm trying to think. Maybe let's shift the hue to the right, just like +5.
Really subtle difference.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, and then.
And now again, just to show people, that's a lot of
There's not even
hue,
as
and
much
that's
yellow
a
in there.
lot less.
Oh yeah, you can see.
You can see it in the grass for sure. So you want to go 5? All right.
Okay. I think that feels good. Ooh, and then let's go into the orange.
I was going to say, you got the
tab.
fish in the backdrop.
Yeah.
Yep. So again, no saturation of orange, a lot of saturation of orange. Changing the hue, you can actually go yellow or make it, red. It's just really cool how you can adjust these colors individually.
Absolutely.
Without having to do any masking or anything.
Yeah, right.
But you tell me what you want.
I'm pretty happy with the hue as it is. I say let's bump the saturation up like +10. See what that looks like.
Okay. Yep.
Ooh.
I can see it.
And then maybe just like the luminance plus like 3. Just like I don't even want it to make a difference, but I just want to know in my head
Right.
that I did something.
I was just gonna say, it's like I want to make a change. I don't want to see it. I just want to know that I did it.
That's like how I live my life. Oh my goodness. Can we see a before and after on that?
Yeah. So that's your before.
Cool.
That's your after.
Nice. All right.
Ooh. We have some before and afters here as well.
Yeah, maybe you can review them in 2 minutes.
2 minutes. All right. So
we
yeah.
got this.
What else you want to do here?
Okay, I feel pretty good on the color.
Okay.
If any other changes I would make to the color, I would do in Photoshop. And that would be
Now keep in mind you also have clarity and dehance to play with.
Let's do. I'm kind of the same with clarity with the whole like +2.
Just want to make a difference, but I don't want to really see it.
Oh man, that makes me feel good though that I'm not the only one that does that. I'm like, all right, and then I'd love to see the dehaze kind of.
Now dehaze is normally done for outside atmospheric photos, where you have haziness or fogginess. But I try it on just about everything
I do
now,
too,
just to see what it does.
Sometimes it gives it that
so,
little.
Yeah,
kick
it gives
that
that little
needs.
edge, right? So this is a lot of dehaze. Too much dehaze, that's no dehaze. So where you can actually use it as an effect to add fog or add cloudiness.
Absolutely.
So I'm thinking
Right,
like 5 to 10.
Yeah, let's go 5.
Okay.
Ooh, 6. How about that?
6. We're breaking the
We're
mold
getting
here.
crazy, you guys.
Getting crazy. 6 it is.
That's great. And it feels like it even made I don't know, the color's just a little.
Yeah,
A
more
little more
saturated.
punchy
Yeah, a little bit
and-
more punchy.
Yeah.
Alright.
And then vignette. I used to just vignette the heck out of everything. And honestly, unless I'm doing it in camera, I try to kind of stay away.
All
And I think that's just a personal style,
I'm going to look at this through a porthole.
right?
I'm
We're
going to
peeking
look through
now.
this on a cloudy day. Through a window.
I'm just imagining that you make those voices to yourself when you're working in Lightroom
I do.
too. Okay, good. So yeah, we're just gonna keep that. Oh, okay. Let's just see what it looks like at like a. I'm the worst.
Like 2.
At like a +2. I know. Wait, did that lighten it or dark? I can't remember. Negative is darken, right?
Yeah, negative.
Okay, it's actually
darken.
-2.
Negative
I
2?
apologize.
Okay.
Oh, actually, that -5 looks pretty sweet.
You want to leave it?
Uh-huh.
All right.
Okay, cool. Should we
Time to review.
review?
All right, let's do a
And
review.
then we can jump back in over
Sure.
here at the end. Fabulous. Hi, Chris.
And Michael, you have these all loaded in tabs? Okay. All right. So, okay.
I see what's
it.
going
Yep.
on.
First one here.
All right. So we got Herbert right here. We got Teen Days portrait photo. Okay, yeah, that's how he described it. Beautiful, beautiful.
Okay.
So I'm assuming this is a self-portrait here. I like it.
Oh, big difference
Very
there.
nice. Yeah. I like the tones there on the left.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice detail in the hair and stuff. Alright. Somebody knows I like pizza. I can appreciate that.
Keep in mind as you're looking at these, what's your favorite? You're going to pick the winner.
Alright, geez, you guys.
Yeah, we're putting it on you.
Oh,
I like this one a lot.
look at you guys. That was a quick move on the doing a studio shoot while we were doing all that. I love it. I like how that shadow falls back there. Let's see. So, I mean, I'm going to assume the one on the right is...
That's the thing. Like,
The
which
right-
is the before, which is the after?
Yeah, it has to be, because...
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. And Derek, let us know if I was correct about that purple one being your after. Nice. Nice stuff too there. I actually like both of those shots. I think that's
Also,
like
look
really
at,
interesting with
look
the
at the color in the
chairs.
sky as well.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah, made some
Oh
differences
yeah,
there.
definitely. Very nice. Ashley. Ooh.
I like the grain
Yeah,
and the
rough it
detail
up a little
added.
bit.
Yeah, looks like some clarity added there.
Good stuff. Yeah, there's something about like lighting guys and just trying to get them all
Yeah,
rough, you know?
they should just call it the guy slider.
Yeah, because I don't think I've ever used clarity on a female
right, yeah. I
portrait before.
used to before they changed the algorithm. Now it's no.
Like not.
Unless you're going to
not
go negative
today.
clarity, because then it can actually be used for skin smoothing.
Touche.
Yeah.
Oh wow, you did a lot here, Jeremy. Very cool.
Let's go back.
So that's the after.
Yeah. Nice. We'll go back up. I want to see the. Yep. Nice adjustments there.
Great
Nice
use of
cropping.
Lightroom. Yeah, and I love, you've got. Oh yeah, I kind of begin. Yeah, just you got super dark tones and like even the highlights still got a lot of nice texture and all of that. Let's see where else. Adorable. Let's see. Let me see
Very
what this
nicely
is
done.
after. Yeah, very nice. And get out of here. Oh wait, that is that one. Wait. Oh, there we go.
One
Okay,
more?
perfect.
Ooh. Yeah. That's good.
Like, very nice.
Nicely done.
Oh, like just the reflection in her eyes are just gorgeous. Yeah. So when do I have to pick a winner? Do I do that at the very end?
Are we picking a winner now on Gus? Gus, it's now.
Yeah. Oh, geez, Gus is telling us
Yeah,
now. All right, let's
now.
go. We're gonna go look through them one more time. Very cool. Yes. Man, let's see. I think I've got.
Can you still submit photos? Yes, you can still submit photos, just not for this one. You can submit photos for the
Yeah.
next one.
Yeah, this will be happening.
Yeah, so it's all
day and
throughout the
week.
day.
Perfect. Cool. Oh man, all right. So.
Jason Levine's evil brother. That's hilarious. Yeah, one of those,
Jimmy
the one with the hair, yeah.
That's funny. Let's see. Okay, so You guys, this is hard. I think this is my winner. I love that after shot. I just the way they did the black and white on there, the tones are just so rich and gorgeous and beautiful.
And do we
to
know
me.
who that one is? I can't tell. I can't see it from here.
Abhishek? Did I pronounce your name right? I'm sorry. Let's
Photos
see.
done it. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. You're our winner.
Yay,
Congratulations.
winners! Woohoo!
Right
Awesome.
on.
Thanks everybody for taking the time to take some photos and submit them to us. That's pretty cool. And super fast. I would have been very stressed out about having to do that so quickly. So, all right.
Okay.
Well, let's see. We got
So-
about 15 minutes left. Should we
We should continue.
continue on over here? And yeah, let us know if you guys have any questions again while we're working on that.
All right.
Oh, cute. Okay, cool,
Awesome.
cool, cool. Back in business. Woo! Oh, everyone's so nice.
Yeah, totally deserved. I like that, Jan.
Heck yeah.
All right.
All right, back over to
I got something I want to
Shoot
try,
fish.
but it's
do
up
it.
to you.
Yeah,
All
no,
right.
I'm all about. Let's see
Okay.
what you got.
So people always ask, like, when you're retouching a photo or you're adjusting a photo or whatever it is, where do you start? And we kind of went through the methodology of camera calibration, then lens correction, then everything else. But if I were not doing that, like if I were not going through the systematic way of doing it, what would keep me distracted is whatever's bothering me about the photo.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so there's one little thing bothering me
Talk to
about
me.
the background.
Oh, there's a lot of stuff bothering me.
The
What you
composition's
got?
fine, but this little wrinkle right here is just, it's been driving
Like
me
you
crazy.
can't look at
every time.
anything else,
So
right?
that's what I
Totally.
mean. So while you can go through the, start with the exposure and all that, but you're going to keep looking at that thing that's bothering you. So when I see something like that, the first thing I ask myself is, well, is that simple enough or easy enough to fix in Lightroom? Or is it
good
something that
question.
needs to go to Photoshop to fix? And when people ask me, well, if I have Lightroom, do I need Photoshop? Or if I have Photoshop, do I need Lightroom? And the answer is, depends. If you need to manage your photos, obviously, then you're going to want to use Lightroom. If you need to do something to your photo that Lightroom can't do, or Lightroom can't do as easily, then that's when you need Photoshop. So in this particular case, if this was the only thing, the only wrinkle in the background that was bothering me, I'd probably go ahead and attempt to fix it in Lightroom.
Totally.
But if I had like 20 of them to do, like all throughout the background, it's
12.
probably something I would head over to Photoshop to do. So let's take a look at each. If I were going to try and do it in here, maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. But in Lightroom CC, you have a healing brush, which is technically like the spot removal tool that's been in Lightroom for years. You can just go ahead and paint with this, and that will attempt to heal that object. And it did it. It did a pretty good job. And of course, that's just going to lead me down to the next
Oh
one.
gosh, yeah.
Because once you don't see once you don't see that one anymore, then you just see the next one.
It's insane,
Right?
right?
And then you're just going to go, oh, you know what? That one's got to go too. And it's kind of automatically detecting where it thinks it should pick up and heal from. You can move that around. You can say, you know what? Let's go ahead and keep it consistent and let's heal it from up here and heal it down, or heal it from the left to the right, or right to left.
Absolutely.
And so you could kind of just take care of a lot of this non-destructively right here in Lightroom CC to kind of heal out some of those background artifacts. Because what you don't want is people distracted by something in the photo and not focusing on the main subject.
Totally right.
So it's like, is there a wrinkle there? It's like,
Can
is
I
it
ask
really
you a
there?
question? Do you, like, after, say, like, spending, a day or hours or whatever, like, retouching, whether it's
I hope
still
I'm not
life
spending
or
a day
people
or hours.
whatever.
But go ahead.
Yeah, maybe you got a
I'm
lot of work
spending
to
a
do.
whole day on
Oh.
one, and something went horribly wrong.
You make a very valid point, Terry. But, like, maybe you're working on lots of images
Okay,
throughout the
there
day.
you go.
Okay, there
Working
we
on
go.
lots of images throughout the day.
Do you ever, like, once you leave your computer and leave those images and say you go out into the real world and are, like, with your friends or family, having dinner or whatever, do you find yourself, like, retouching in real life in your brain ever?
No, I don't
How
do
do you
that.
stop it?
But what often happens is if I do a shoot and then I immediately go start retouching some of the photos. And then I come back the next day. I look at what I retouched. Like I'm like, how did I let this go? How did this get by? How did I not see this? How did I not fix that? So sometimes it's, for me at least, it's a lot better to get a fresh perspective and look at them again, or at least look at them again before you post them. Because you'll see all kinds of things that, for whatever reason, you didn't see the first time.
Isn't that strange how our brains work, man? Cool. All right.
Yay. Okay, so that was my quick little detour in case you were like, well, if I wanted to fix something like that, how could I? Yes, you could fix that in Lightroom. But also, let's say it couldn't be fixed in Lightroom. How would you get to Photoshop from here? So let's show that.
Woo.
If you do want to edit from Lightroom CC into Photoshop, you can do it and it will round trip it for you. So there's a file, edit in Photoshop, built right in. It's the same Command E in Lightroom Classic.
Oh, I love it.
And it will give you kind of like a little tutorial here. It's going to make edits, keep Lightroom CC open so that it knows where to return it to, and close the photo in Photoshop when you're done. Okay, so I kind of know all that now. And
so Photoshop's gonna go ahead, and while I'm making adjustments in Photoshop, save it to non-destructively save it to that.
Not non-destructive. It's gonna make a copy.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
Okay. So now we got the image in Photoshop, and literally you can do anything you want in Photoshop. You can, add layers. You can add type. You can do whatever you want. You can make any change you want to make at any point. All right. So we got about 4 minutes. Anything you'd want to do here?
So normally my first thing when I go into Photoshop with an image after I've kind of processed it through Lightroom and all,
got it,
is I'll make a duplicate layer of the background.
Okay, Command J.
And the first thing I do is just clean it up.
Okay.
It's usually using the spot tool, or the healing spot. Right? Yeah, that's what I'm on.
All right, so it's a new installation of Photoshop for me, so let's go ahead. And this is using the spot healing brush, which as you can see is a lot faster than using the healing brush in Lightroom.
Oh, it's like my favorite thing.
Yeah, and it just lets me clean up all the little things I see, but
There's
you
some
might
stuff
see
on
more.
the shoes, maybe.
Okay, and we can of
It's kind of hard to tell because of the material.
I'll zoom in.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Right? Yeah, I didn't necessarily package the
Now,
shoes greatly when I came here.
This thing. We're using a stylus. We're using a Wacom Cintiq. I highly recommend if you're going to do any type of retouching that you use a Wacom tablet of some kind. It doesn't even have to be Wacom, but a tablet of some kind, because, for example, this is going to save me a lot of work. I made my brush size bigger than the actual thing that needs to be adjusted. So if I press lightly, it will make that adjustment in whatever size I want. But if I press harder, then it's giving me the full size of that brush. That way I don't have to keep making the brush bigger, smaller to make all of these adjustments.
Fantastic.
So when people ask, well, why do I need a tablet? That's why you want a tablet. It will just save you more time.
It'll save you so much time. And honestly, I don't know about any of you guys, but my hands get tired after a while, whether it's from shooting or retouching. So having that pen, I don't know, it's a lot more delicate on our aging bodies.
All right, so now we're kind of zooming in, doing the little things that you probably would never see unless you zoomed in. So just a lot of little things that will make the image that much better. Fish looks good. Oh, see a little something on the heel there.
Oh yeah, did that. Yep.
Get that.
Good. Brilliant.
Got a little crazy.
Got away from me.
Oh, don't get crazy too. Undo. So this one tool is helping me do a lot.
It's so cool watching you. All right, we got 1 minute left.
We got 1 minute left. Okay.
I was so sneaky.
So with that 1 minute left, we're gonna go ahead and save this. You can continue, obviously, do a lot more. Save it, close it, switch back to Lightroom CC, and what Lightroom CC did is it stacked the two images together. So there's our Photoshop version and our Lightroom version with the adjustments we made. So we got both.
Yay.
So now we got less than 1 minute. So the last thing you might want to do in this case is she could share the entire gallery. She could also export out, of course, the finished photo. And the way you would export this out real quick is that you could do a save to, just like we did
So nice.
At some point we did a save too.
We did.
We did a save.
For the DNG file.
Yeah.
Was it?
No, it was. I think I mentioned that. I don't know. No, we did save something because we actually went to the. Can't remember what it was, but
So
we did
long
save
ago.
something. Yes. All right.
Cool.
It saved the original and the edit. Yes, that's correct.
And we'll be doing a lot more of this the next 2 days as well. Hopefully we can get into some color changes and compositing in Photoshop, but...
So, Laura, real quick, the original, the Lightroom one was there, and when it did a save to, it made a TIFF layered file that's right next to it. And we are out in 5 seconds. So
Thanks,
goodbye, everybody.
everybody.
We're going to take
We'll
a
see you
short break.
tomorrow.
We're going to come back and rinse and repeat and do this all over again with the next person.
Yeah! Portraits of Marla.
Portraits of Marla. Bye, everybody.